I'm Scott Tibbles with the Investing News Network, and I'm here today at the Sprott Natural Resource Symposium in Vancouver. Joining me now is Jeff Swinoga, CEO and President of First Mining Gold. Thanks for joining me, Jeff.
Oh, thanks, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
So it's day 2 of the symposium. How do you feel about it so far?
Actually, I really like the forum. I really like how they set up the format. It's a great way to meet investors and talk about our projects and our large resource base that we have. So I'm finding it a great venue, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm. And yesterday you hosted a workshop that was titled Mining Roadmap Discovery to Reclamation.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about what you spoke about?
Well, it was, it's a workshop format. So what we did was we first talked about an overview of the company, right? We talked about our large and well-diversified, portfolio of gold assets. But within there, we've got Springball. And Springball's got 4.7 million ounces of indicated. So Springball is one of the largest undeveloped gold projects, one of them in Canada. It's actually the largest in Ontario. So very significant, very large, very attractive, low cost as well. So what we did is we did sort of a teach-in about how we expect to develop Springball over time. Just some of the metrics on Springball, for example, it's got a 12-year mine life. 800 million after-tax net present value, over 26% IRR. It's got a 300,000 ounce per year production profile. A cost are about $700 all-in sustaining costs. So it's large, attractive. It's in Ontario, which is 110 kilometers east of the Red Lake mine, which is Goldcorp's company maker. So we're very happy to have it. We're going through an environmental assessment right now, and we actually showed a video. It's on our website if people want to see it, but shows how we plan to develop over time and right into reclamation. So it was a great way to talk about some of the geology, how we found it, some of the history, talk about again the metrics, and then how we plan to develop it. It's great.
And how far away from operation do you think it is?
Well, the roadmap, we're going to take about probably 2 years to go through the environmental assessment. We're going to look at doing a pre-feasibility study early next year or into next year. We're doing some metallurgical testing later this year. And then we're going to get into permitting. Construction is going to take about 2 years. So we say first gold in 5 years, which is pretty reasonable. It's been drilled out. It's already sizable. I don't think we need to drill much more. Like 5 million, almost 5 million ounces is huge, right? Yeah. So the goal here is to de-risk it, focus on the work with the local communities, indigenous cultures, create engagement, and so that's the roadmap. So 5 years, we're going to have first gold. It's going to be great.
Fantastic. And so what have attendees at the symposium been asking you about? Well,
it's actually very interesting because I got to tell you, not a lot of people know about Springball. They don't know how sizable it is. We get questions about how we look to engage locals and indigenous cultures, and I've had the opportunity to talk about how we want to step back and look at a holistic approach to this, and how we do things in Ontario. Because not only do we have Springball, again with almost 5 million ounces, but we've got 3 other projects in Ontario. We've got Golden, we've got Cameron, we've got Pickle Crow. So when we look at how we want to conduct ourselves going forward and how we want to create engagement and talk about future jobs and all the things that come with these great projects and how the vision is to become a very large gold producing company in Canada, it's a great opportunity to talk about how we want to do that. We've got a values-based culture. We use these values for making decisions, for our communication strategy, and all that leads to is building long-term trust. And that trust between government officials, shareholders, local communities, indigenous, and it's great. It's been a really good forum to explain all that in a workshop.
Okay, so if you've got a lot of new investors having a look at First Mining, is there any big news in the pipeline coming our way?
Oh yeah, no, it's we've got some. I mentioned the metallurgical study, right? So what that study is going to do is we're going to look at the flow sheet for Springball. We're hopeful that's going to improve the recoveries as well. And that's not really the primary purpose, but if it does improve our recoveries, that would be very good economically. Like right now, it's an $800 million net present value, and if we can improve the coverage from, say, 80% to 90%, that's an extra $400 million of value for shareholders. So we can't promise that, but that's something that hopefully we can do. Then we also talked about the pre-feasibility study next year. Another asset that we have or property is called Goldland. Goldland's pretty exciting. It's got about 50 kilometer strike length. We've only been exploring 2 or 3 kilometers of it. And so what we've done now is we've gone out 10 kilometers and see if we can, what we're trying to do there with this regional exploration program is see if we can find the same type of mineralization that we have with the 2-3 kilometers. And so if we do that, then, hopefully there's more along that strike. So Goldland could be quite large. So it was very exciting. Those drill results are probably coming out in the next month or so. So that's another catalyst that's coming up. So and then there'll be probably a number of press releases on the how we're going to environmental assessment and giving people an update on Springball. So lots of news coming up, and it's just great. I love working on properties in Ontario. My background, I've worked in Africa and South America and in Mexico, and to have these properties in Canada it's just great.
So there's plenty to look forward to.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so over the past few days, the gold price has been on the way down. What do you make of that?
Well, I think there's ebbs and flows with any price, right? But if you look out 5 to 10 years, and what's happening is that large gold producers have actually done a very good job of divesting of assets, decreasing their debt levels. But what's been the result of that is that going forward, there's been a reduction in their production profiles. They're having to mine lower grades going forward, which means that they increase their costs. And what we're seeing is that with production falling off, that there's a lack of replenishment into their production profile. So what does that mean? It means that they're going to have to try and find new deposits in further jurisdictions. There hasn't been any new major gold discoveries this year in 2018 or in 2019. So we've seen a real fall off in that, even when exploration has hit all-time highs a couple of years ago. So there's been a lot of talk about peak gold, how we're not going to find another large gold deposit. So I'm not sure if that's true, but what I do know is that we are running into a supply deficit. So what does that mean? It means that if they can't replenish their production, they're going to have to look at acquiring properties. So the fact that we've got 5 million ounces of inferred and 7 million ounces of indicated ounces, we've got a great portfolio right now, right? So it means the value of what we found already, what we have in our company, should be valued much higher.
Okay, and you mentioned peak gold. Can you just explain that and what you feel about that term and whether or not we're there or not?
Well, I'm not sure if we're there now, but I certainly see on the horizon that if something, if we don't find any more major gold deposits, then we are going to get into a supply deficit. So a couple of things have to happen there. Probably gold price goes up, which means more exploration, but then it takes time. Like even if you find a mine, right, it takes probably 10 years to get it into production. Like it takes time to drill it out. You have to look at the infrastructure. You have to look at the local community. Are they supportive? And then ultimately get hopefully in production. So even if they find something now, we're still going to hit the supply deficit. So I think peak gold's coming up if we haven't hit it already. And I mean, the fact that, again, we've got all these gold projects, I'm very happy that we're not in that situation, but just makes us look very undervalued right now. And it reflects that, something has to happen. Something has to change here.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for that. We'll leave it there. Once again, I'm Scott Tibbles with the Investing News Network, and I've been speaking with Jeff Swinoga of First Mining Gold. Thanks for joining me, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.